Well, welcome everybody. I'm glad to see everybody here. This is our training today, which my name is Dr. Joey Pagano. I have many roles, but as you see on this the title page, I run the Traveling Social Workers, where I train, uh, whether it's clinical, whether it's just various different fields, scopes, and whatever practice they're at. Um, and I know I just got back from Europe training on some of the same subject. So my wife and I are the traveling social workers. We're both social workers, just looking to make a difference and impact with some of these subjects that we could truly make a difference. So this one's going to be called Pathways to Change, and it's just innovative strategies for MI in SUD recovery. So we believe that we could just transform recovery through these evidence-based approaches. And I mean, these are proven strategies. My wife and I love MI. It just has so many places where it could truly help someone, right? And I want to just start by saying this: just change, because when I think about MI, it's just always challenging, right? It's not comfortable, it's not predictable, but I believe it's possible, right? The research says that change is possible. So when you witness that moment, when someone just begins to believe in their ability to change, it's just nothing short of transformational. So I'm just honored to guide you through this journey. It's MI just makes a difference no matter where you're at in whatever stage of change, whatever client you're working with, especially in substance use disorder. This is not just another set of techniques to learn, right? It's to me, it's like a philosophy, right? It's a mindset. It's just a way of being with people, we'll say, and it just meets them where they're at, right? It like walks alongside them. um, I've seen the greatest impact with the people that I go. So this training is my goal today is just to equip you all with the tools today. And it's also, which I believe is just to inspire you, right? Because I want everybody to be able to walk away from this session, from this pathways to change, with just something that could possibly lead to lasting change. Okay. So as we embark on this session, I want to challenge everybody here, all the attendees, right, to challenge you to think differently, right? So you don't want to see resistance as a wall, but we'll say merely as a window, right? As a window to be able to look into someone's fears, right? To hear ambivalence, believe that is not as an indecision, but as like the sound of a person that's wrestling with hope and doubt, right? So we believe it's essential to to your role, whatever role you're in, that that's crucial. It's it's just to guide someone through change and remind them that change is possible. So that's like almost like the theme: change is possible. So by the end of this session, like I said, I'm going to give you some tools, and you're going to be able to apply these immediately, whatever role that you play, because I think MI is can be applicable to to everybody, right? Whatever relationship, whatever situation you're in, and we're going to align this with cutting edge research, and I hope to have a renewed commitment to the lives that you and I touch, right? And we're going to discover how to inspire hope and foster connection. So that's kind of, I'm just happy to be here, and that's who I am. And we're going to make a difference today. So I'm going to take you right into that. We're going to go right into the purpose, which I kind of touched on that because there is a lot here, and I tried to make it in a concise and succinct way. I packed a lot in, because when I look at MI, there's just so much to MI, and I just wanted to just take some of that, and help us all ground ourselves, right? I when I do a training, whatever it is, I believe it. I do it in my own unique way, right? I kind of try to make it very tangible to the whatever attendees, right? Because I'm sure there's an eclectic group of attendees. Whether you're a social worker, I don't know if there's physicians in here, whether you're some kind of peer support specialist, wherever, wherever you work, whatever you do, we got to ground ourselves. So I kind of like create a map, right? And this is like our map, right? We have a roadmap. You see the picture on there, and with this roadmap, I know what a map does for me. It gives me a clear sense of where I'm going, right? And I also want to give you like why it matters. So our destination, if I had a place where we're going, it's going to be transformation, right? So whatever role you have, whatever uh, counseling, therapy, and all the other things that I said. Yeah, obviously, you're interested in MI, right? Motivational interviewing, because you're here. So, and here, you're integral, right, to this transformation, right? So you're whatever role you play, it's it's so critical to making a difference in someone's life. So it's not just crucial, not just for the clients we serve, but it's how we approach the work itself. I love MI. I use it. I use it in everything I do, right? Whether it's in my marriage, right? In my professional life, whatever it is, it's a game changer, right? So that's what we're going to learn today. As you see up here, you see the right. You see what we're going to learn today. The first goal, we're going to dive deep into the core principles, right? I'm sure if you're familiar with MI, you've heard collaboration, evocation, autonomy, right? So we're going to try to think of these principles. They're kind of like our compass, and it's going to guide us through every MI interaction. Collaboration, it reminds me, right, that it's just not just a one-sided process. We're partners, right? Walking alongside clients or, patients, clients, and whoever we're with, right? We're walking along them, and they're on their path to get to change, right? Change is possible. Let's remember that. So evocation, it's about drawing out what already exists within the client. I believe that's why it works, right? It's we're pulling it out of them, right? They have their strengths, their motivations, and their reason to change, right? Autonomy, it reinforces the power to change and ultimately rests with them. So when we approach each conversation with these principles, uh, and I think this all always intersects with, like, to me, trauma informed care, right? That's another framework I work within, and I train a lot on that subject, but I think they intersect. So once again, the principles is, and what happens is we create a safe, respectful, and empowering space for growth, right? Trauma informed care, right? MI kind of gets us there, right? And that's what happens. And when we have that, our client feels, right, a sense of belonging. So next, I'm going to move into right, the core techniques, open-end, like OARS, right? We've heard that before, OARS, right? Open-ended questions, affirmations, reflective listening, and summarization. So these tools, they open doors, they build trust, they keep, I'll say, maybe the momentum of change alive. Okay, so open-ended questions, they encourage exploration and insight, connection, right? All that. Um, just so important. We'll say the affirmations, they celebrate strengths, foster confidence, and the reflective listening, right? It deepens the understanding and connection. Again, there's that word connection, and the summarization. It just ties it all together. So OARS works so well, and it's just so vital to MI because, I mean, truly, it helps clients see their progress in real time. So these techniques, they're not just skills. It's like an art, right? It's like an art that when mastered, it just unlocks incredible potentials in our clients, wherever they're at. So today's session, it's just not about mastering the basics, it's about expanding our toolkit. Right? Just expanding the toolkit with innovative strategies. I know it inspires me, right? And I hope it inspires you, but it also, it motivates me, right? And with inspiration, motivation, we could do anything, right? We could help clients achieve change, right? Because the world's changing. And so is the challenges that our clients face, right? We see all that every day. So, and that's why we explore just, I'm going to talk a little bit about things like technology. We're seeing that a lot more. I am. Like apps, telehealth extends the reach of MI beyond the office or the treatment center. So I want to discuss that a little bit, right, about the transformative power of peer support programs. They're vital where lived experience it meets professional expertise. I wrote a book on that, right? I mean, both of these things are just so important, right? And when combined, once again, change is possible. And I think it just, right, it makes it even more possible when, both of those are applied. Wherever you're at, right? So it's like where lived experience meets professional expertise. It's it's priceless. So we're going to talk about all this no matter what background you're like background you have, and where you work. It's all applicable, I think, right? So these strategies, they're not just mere enhancements, they're necessities in meeting that diverse and evolving needs of the people we serve. So, and perhaps most importantly, I want to talk, and I'm going to delve even deeper in the power of personal experience. I don't think this is talked about enough. So I want to share about my recovery journey and how it has shaped the way that I practice MI. It really just helps. It almost like it builds the foundation. So it's not as like a theory, but as deeply personal as a human connection. So you don't have to have walked the same path or bring your humanity into the room, right? Your lived experiences, your, we'll say, insights, and your authenticity, it's invaluable, right? When we combine all this, like I was talking about, it's what happens is we create something extraordinary. So at the level of trust, understanding, and it just can't be taught in a textbook, right? You don't have to be in long-term recovery. We all have our different experiences, but when it's combined with, evidence-based practices, it just, it truly makes an impact. So by the end of our time together, you're going to leave with the practical tools, fresh strategies, and you can immediately apply this. Like I said before, and I hope you go with a renewed sense of purpose and confidence, because today we're going to see how we can make a difference in our clients' lives. MI, once again, it's more than a method. It's like a way of life. It's it's like a mindset. It's how I shape, my everything I do. I shape my behaviors and everything within these principles. So let's embrace this opportunity. Let's grow. Let's get going on this MI journey. All right, so we are going to move right in, and we're going to talk about the power of MI in SUD recovery, right? So let's just start with a truth. It just cuts right to the heart of what we do. I cannot give change to another person. I mean, sadly, I can't, right? It's something that they must find within themselves, right? I think that's how me believing that and accepting that, it's how I can embrace MI easily. It's very easy for me to meet someone where they're at and me to apply some of these principles because, I could accept that statement. So that's where MI, it's where it becomes a game changer. So it shifts our role from being the fixer to being the guide. So MI teaches us that our job isn't to dictate or demand, but it's to create a space where clients feel empowered, right? And it lets them explore their reasons for change and their potential to succeed. So think about the people we work with, right? Many arrive, they have ambivalence, right? Torn between, listen, Dr. Joey, I want to change. I'm not sure how to, right? That's what they'll say. And I see that so much, right? That ambivalence is always present, it seems, right? But I look at it like not a wall, but it's a bridge, right? To me, it's like a bridge. And MI, uh, it gives us the tools to cross that bridge, right? So the beauty of MI, it just lies in its adaptability. So whether clients take their first step towards recovery or they're ready to leap just into action, right? MI, it just meets them where they are. And it's not about dragging them forward, prescribing a one size, we'll say, fits all solution, because there's not, right? There's no cookie cutter process to any client. I got to believe that, right? It's about walking alongside them, shining a light on them, looking at their strengths, helping them discover their insights. So this approach reminds clients that they are not passive participants in their journey. They're the authors of their recovery journey. So here's the incredible thing. Just MI just doesn't transform clients. It transforms us as practitioners. It really does. How often have we find ourselves drained, discouraged, wondering if I say this sometimes, right? I'll be at my practice and I'll have have a conversation with someone, or sometimes I'll have it right with myself. I'll say, "Am I making a difference?" Right? I'll truly question myself. Am I making a difference? And have I, and I'll feel myself drained in that same statement. So when I think that, I got to remember that it reinvigorates us, right? I feel that it reconnects us with the why that's behind our work. When I see a client uncover their own motivation, wow, it's like an awe moment, right? And I witness that spark of self-efficacy. It reignites my purpose, and I hope yours. It reminds us that even in the smallest moments, we're part of something profound. It helps us believe in themselves, and we're they could merely stop believing in themselves, right? So it changes me. So the transformation, once again, is not one-sided. It's a mutual journey, we'll say, of growth and empowerment, and it's a partnership. It's a collaboration, and it moves me towards connection, understanding, and transformation. So we take the journey together, hand in hand, and we eventually get to a brighter future. So I want us all to reflect on why MI matters. Just think about the lives it has the power to touch, not just the lives of your clients, but the life of yours. Right. And I've been to many MI trainings. I did a couple different ones, and I don't think that's talked about as much. Right. But it truly does. It affects us, and not just them. So it's not just about helping someone recover. It's about reigniting hope in them and in us. Wow. You know, and we become agents of transformation. It just, we'll say I try to make right this, because I believe this, right? And it's so real, right? It just lights a path for them in ourselves. So it's a journey of personal growth, fulfillment, and it deeply rewards me and my work. So I want to carry that perspective forward, right? I want us to remember that our work matters sincerely to every person we serve in the communities we touch. MI is more than a tool. It's a way of being, right? It's the impact of nothing short of life changing. So we're going to go right into the core principles. And I mean, what great core principles, right? Collaboration, evocation, autonomy. It makes sense. Like, it's like I'm building a house with that framework. I want to talk about collaboration. And if there's anything that's the cornerstone, it is collaboration. I mean, just imagine working with a client, and right, and there's that me drawing that map again, right? And you're along a path. So it's collaboration isn't dragging them forward. We're not pointing out every turn they got to take. It's the best to walk alongside them. We got that partnership that I've mentioned before. It's where you both work towards uncovering what truly matters to you, to us all. So collaboration, what it does, it kind of like removes we'll say, removes the pressure, we'll say, of fixing, right? Because we don't want to fix someone, right? Even if you tell that to a client, if I'm the client, I don't want to hear that. That's not right. Instead, it focuses on connection, and it gives that mutual respect. They feel heard, they feel understood, they feel a part of, right? So I would say to a client, right, you're the expert on your life, and I'm just here to support you. So that approach, it just breaks down, it breaks down walls. And if anything builds trust, then that statement does. That it's like a feeling, right? They could feel that. And it opens a door, right? And in that door, when they open that door, there's a genuine relationship where, once again, change is possible. The next principle, just as important, right? Evocation. So it's like the process of drawing out where the client already exists, right? We're like pulling it out of them, right? Think of evocation as a good way I'll put it, and I was taught this very early. It's like helping a client uncover buried treasures, and it's like uncovering their treasures. And if we open that treasure, what's in there? Well, it would be their strengths, their values, their motivations. And I see this a lot where clients are told what they should do. That doesn't work, right? Normally the clients, we get vulnerable clients, and they might have been told that their whole life, and it has not worked, right? So the evocation, it just flips that script. It said, instead of imposing solutions, I ask, like, what does change mean to you, and why does that matter? So this approach, in the process, it's deeply personal. So it's far more effective and profoundly empowering. So when clients connect with their reasons for change, the motivation comes from within, is infinitely more sustainable. So evocation is, it's not about solving their problems. It's about helping them realize that they already have the tools to solve them. And lastly, there's autonomy. It just honors the client in choosing their path. So true change is powerful when it's not directed. Imagine trying to push someone up a hill. I mean, I, you know, that would be exhausting to me. I mean, just thinking about that, right? That's not going to work. And the moment I stop, they just slide back down. So the journey becomes theirs when the person chooses to climb the hill and just say they use their strength and purpose. So, by respecting their autonomy, we empower them to take ownership of their recovery. So autonomy is, it's more than a choice. It's building their confidence and their ability to succeed. So I want to say to them, this is your journey, and I believe in your ability to navigate it. And I want to instill in you the hope and strength to carry them through even the most challenging moments. So those three principles, right? MI, right? Collaboration, evocation, autonomy. They work together, right? They work together, and they create that non-judgmental space where clients can explore change at their own pace. I think that's right. That's so important. It's not about rushing, directing them. You got to do this. You got to do it now. That doesn't work. So I want to honor where they're at, and I want to walk with them, and I want to walk toward them where they want to be. So when I right when I apply these principles in any kind of situation, right, I help them recover. I help them reclaim their sense of, we'll say, agency, dignity, and worth, right? I mean, how important is that? Priceless, right? I want to go right in. The next slide is about just mastering the. If I had the building blocks of MI, right? These are what they are, right? ORs. I mentioned them in the beginning. If you haven't heard of ORs, well, you'll just read anything about MI, and you'll hear about this, right? And when we think of ORs, the techniques that we use in MI, it just turns, we'll say, principles into action, right? So I want to look at them just more closely. So when we look at open-ended questions, I want to encourage a client to and here it is, explore their feelings and goals. I just don't want to say, ask the client, did you do that? Yes. Did you do that? No. I don't want to ask them a question, that close-ended question, right? That where it's just yes, no, right? That's all they told me, right? I can't explore their feelings. I don't know what their goals are. I don't think I'm going to go anywhere with that. So, for instance, you know, maybe ask them, right? What makes you consider change at this point in your life? And then they start, exploring their feelings. They start elaborating on the whys. They start elaborating and telling me so much more that I could use to help them grow, right? So open-ended questions encourage clients, like once again, they share their thoughts, feelings, and their experiences. So it gives us, right, whatever role we're in, valuable insight into their perspective. Where would I be without that? Next is affirmations, right? I got to help them build their confidence. They might not have any, and it's very important in this, in whatever role we have. So it's easy for clients to feel discouraged. So from like a strengths-based approach, right? I want to affirm their strengths, even the small ones. It all matters. For example, if the client shows up for the first session, I I need to acknowledge that effort, right? That might be the first thing they've done, accomplished in their life. Like it's vital and it matters. So it's just very important for me to just acknowledge that and just build them up. I don't want to tear them down. I want to build them up. So you can see how important that is. You've taken an important step by being here today. That would be a very affirmative statement. So next is reflective listening. It's going to help demonstrate empathy and understanding. When a client says, and I've heard this so many times, Joey, I feel like I've let everybody down, right? So I want to reflect that. So what I would say back to them, listen, you're feeling a lot of guilt about how this has affected others, right? It shows that you hear and validate their emotions. Okay. They feel heard, they feel understood. How important is that? Right. I know, like, there's no sense of safety. There's no sense of anything when you feel heard and understood, like you don't want to be there. So whatever, wherever you're at, and wherever, wherever you work with that client, patient, or whoever, right? I'm sure they want to feel heard and understood. And lastly, summarization, it just ties everything together. It helps the client see their progress. For instance, so far you've talked about wanting to feel healthier and reconnect with your family. I would say that's how, I would summarize something, and then I would right, I'd explain how to, we'll say, take the steps toward those goals. And it just ties everything together. It makes them feel heard and understood. It complements everything. Without oars, not able to, like, truly, I feel, reach that client, meet them where they're at. So my techniques, they're not just for trust and connection, right? It just helps me connect with them. It helps me, right, just pull out it's already inside them. So next I want to talk about, right, breaking. If I look at, we'll say, I mean, we in today's day, we see so much with innovation, right? And I know the pandemic, right? It brought forth a telehealth. I did a lot of research on telehealth and the efficacy of telehealth, and just so many. I mean, just everything surrounding that, right? And we see that's not going away, right? In so many different parts of, whether it's we'll just say behavioral health, right? It's just, I mean, I constantly work with different ways to do telehealth, and I'm sure that you all see that in possibly your practices as well. So with that, when I think of telehealth, it's like innovation to me, right? It's we see how technology just continues to advance. Everything's on the phone, right? And I know not everybody's digital native, but it's like where we're going. So when I think of innovation, like how could innovation complement MI? How could innovation complement and just serve our clients better, serve our patients better? So I believe that it's critical in keeping MI relevant and practical in today's world. Because as we see all these advancements, I know how important MI is. I know how important innovation is. So there are some strategies that they just push the boundaries of traditional MI. If the creators of MI, right, can see us now, right, as we evolve. So technology integration, it provides clients, right, with 24/7 support. I see apps, I see telehealth platforms, right? That like I've never even heard of Zoom, and then right prior to the pandemic, and now we have Zoom, we have Microsoft Teams, just and on and on and on, and we see all these different platforms, and we make it possible for anybody to reach any professional in any setting, and I think I think it's awesome, right? I think it's just something great that's going to complement healthcare in our future. So all these tools, right? They offer so many different options for clients: goal tracking, daily check-ins, motivational prompts. Um, I've worked with clients with several different applications. So, especially clients in rural or undeserved areas where this truly has made an impact, right? The access, it's life changing, right? So imagine a client receiving a personalized message every morning reminding them of their strengths and goals, right? And that's the power of technology, and that changes lives. So I've supervised peer support programs, all different stuff where we've used things like that. So the peer support programs, they complement all this as well, and they just bring a unique dynamic to recovery work. We see them everywhere. We see, right, in the state of PA, right, we see the certified recovery specialist, we see the certified family recovery specialist, we see the certified peer specialist when it comes to mental health. So we see all these different things. When I travel abroad, like I said, I just came back from Europe, and I didn't see those, right? They have a lot of the life coaches, and that's right. That's what they use a lot. So, but regardless, peer support is pretty much everywhere. So all these different ways of innovation, and what it is brought forth to the whole field, the people with lived experience, it offers empathy, credibility, and you can't replicate that, right? And their stories, they inspire clients to believe in the possibility of change, right? It's possible, right? And it provides hope, especially in those moments of struggle. So we look at culturally tailored excuse me, interventions. They're just essential for making MI personal and relevant. And I think that's right. That's important. We got to have it personal. We got to have it relevant. We got to have something that applies to the client, because once again, recovery isn't a one size fits all. So um, I think MI brings adaptability, right? So, with that, it helps me adapt my approach to reflect the client's culture and ensure that whatever strategies I'm using, I want them to resonate deeply with their values and experiences. So these innovations, it reminds us, I believe, that MI, it's just not static. So it has become a dynamic practice that it just adapts, and it just meets the needs to everybody we serve. I'm going to dig a little deeper into that, and we'll go into, and I didn't want to put a lot of quantitative data, but I am a research person, right? So just sharing a little bit, but I also want to just tie this into some, maybe some lived experience background. So I want to share a story, and it kind of like captures how technology, it like revolutionizes recovery through MI. I'm going to give you a story, right? And the story about a client, they were stuck in a cycle of relapse. Okay, they felt disconnected from support systems. They struggled to maintain the momentum they needed to, we'll say, sustain change. Okay. And they felt isolated. They had limited tools to navigate between the moments of, between sessions, we'll say, when motivation, tends to waver. So I had a, I wanted to introduce like a recovery app to them, and I thought it would be, very applicable. It would help them. And at first, it it seemed like it was a small step, and but you know, it ended up impacting them on a large scale, where it was just like a tool, and it helped them set goals. It helped them track cravings. It helped them access resources. I mean, this was huge to them, right? It quickly became something where they started believing change is possible because it truly helped them, and we would talk on the phone, and it now, remind them like, you made it this far, just keep going. And every step matters. And these simple things, these reminders, just it offered encouragement, especially in the moments where, they get stuck in doubt. They might not, get out of that. And this app kind of it allowed them to track their cravings, monitor progress, celebrate the small victories, and there it is. It helped them feel like they controlled their journey, and I think that's right, the basis of MI, right? It's coming from them. I met them where they were at, and this innovation helped them change their life. Okay, it's not just about the one app, right? And once again, I'm not going to say I support any app, right? Because I've used several, and I'm not here to endorse them or anything like that. But we have an entire world of recovery tools, and it's just I think it's just amazing how how technology has advanced so much. I know there's some of them sober grid, and these apps, I've used most of them, right? In we'll say different settings. We Connect Recovery, I've used that. That helped me. I know that focuses on accountability. There's another one, I Am Sober. There was a daily tracking app, celebrating milestones, right? And this stuff, like, it worked, right? It doesn't work for everybody, but especially like, for people that live in a digital world, maybe live in a place like the story I was talking about, right? In a medically underserved area, maybe the rurality of that area just made it hard for them to, connect in whatever way. So, those apps worked well. Another one, Peer Reset. I think it's FDA approved, and it's designed for SUD. Listen, this one integrates CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and it uses motivational tools, and it supports recovery. And there's also like a 12-step one and a meeting search, right? And so it is an eclectic, you know, view of all these different apps, wherever that person's at in their life stage of change, however, just meets them where they're at. And I'm just, we've come such a long way in innovation where it complements all of the, stuff we already have. So when we combine these tools with the principles of MI, right? And remember, let's recap: collaboration, evocation, and autonomy. Okay. The result is it's like a seamless extension of support beyond the traditional counseling. It's amazing. It's amazing how this just makes a difference, right? It's almost like it never stops, right? That seamless connection to wherever you're at. We could reach you. We could apply those principles, and we could help you believe in yourself, and you could make a change. So, this story and those descriptions of apps, it just shows you, right, how technology, it's not here to replace human connection. I know I'll have many conversations how, people feel that does, but I think it complements it, right? It like amplifies it. That's what I think it does. These tools just meet clients where they are, because there was places where you couldn't reach clients. We'll say, and look at it in that context. There's people like, I couldn't meet you where you're at because, where you're at in your life, I, you know, uh, for whatever setting that you were at, I couldn't get to where you're at. I've encountered clients where, right, that I couldn't help them, right, and now it's like I said, like a seamless connection. It's like this extension that's just made MI possible, made all kind of evidence-based practices possible, and I love technology. It truly it makes a difference. So this case and the tools available to us, I think they're a testament of the evolving landscape of recovery. Innovation, it's not just about keeping up with the times, it's just about meeting clients where they're at, providing the support, right? And however, we got to provide that, and the need in ways that most of us never thought possible. It's just about extending the reach of MI, and I think it's going to inspire lasting change. It's just I see it time and time again, just make a difference. So I'm going to focus the next slide, just talk a little bit more. I want to harness the value of lived experience. I don't see enough. I don't see enough trainings on this. You know, in my second book, From Scars to Stars, that's available on Amazon. It's and I mentioned this before. It connects both of those worlds, right? And I mean, I'll work with people and they don't, right, in the clinical world, they don't see the value of lived experience and whatever that lived experience is. And listen, it just complements any evidence-based practice just so much, right? And it just being a person in long-term recovery, see, I've learned that there's a unique power in that. It's not just about having been there. It's about understanding the struggle. It's about using that experience, like I talked about, as that bridge, right? It connects to people on the human level. So when I share my story with someone who feels lost and hopeless, it's not about trying for me to take center stage, but I'm able to say, I've walked this road. It's hard, but it's possible. And like that's where I want to get to. The end of the road just tells them that change is possible. I want the client to believe that. I want them to feel it in their heart. The change is possible. Okay. And you don't have to do this alone. I'm going to hold your hand. I want them to feel that, right? Recovery is such an incredibly isolating experience for so many people, right? And addiction, and however you want to call it, substance use disorder, opiate use disorder, right? There's so many different related disorders, but it just creates these walls, and it creates these places where a person can't get to. So when client comes to me and feel like that no one understands them, what they're going through, and they're carrying this weight that they can feel, I'm going to take that off of them. But how do I take that off of them? I'm going to use evocation. I'm going to evoke it out of them, right? By collaborating, right? Mutual respect, respecting their autonomy. So when we bring our experiences into the room, whether they're in a recovery journey or however their work is with others, it breaks down the barrier of isolation. Tells the client, you're not the only one who felt this way. There's hope on the other side. So my recovery journey it's just another lens that I look through, right? I see everything through that. When you don't have to have a recovery journey to have life experience, right? The value of lived experience is the value of lived experience, whatever lived experience that is, right? Right? It'll complement whatever you're doing, right? And it just makes them feel that they're a part of it. And especially when they're on the verge of giving up. So I could rattle off tons of statistics and tell you about how proven this is and everything, but I want to make this tangible to you. I want to just tell you that, like, I have experience with this. I've tried. It works, right? However you're whatever field you're applying this in, right? And sharing that moment of vulnerability, of realness, it might be what breaks through. I've been there. I know how hard it is to believe the change is possible, especially when everything is out of reach. And because I'll see a shift and I'll see their shoulders relax, right? The eyes that will like look up, they'll look at me for the first time. And I know at that moment that door is open. That door is open, and I could feel that. And I can invoke it out of them, right? So once again, lived experience is not limited to people in personal recovery. Every one of us has a story to tell. Moment, it just defines why we do the work we do, right? Maybe it's a client who overcame the odds of we'll say a family member who inspired your journey into this field. Whatever your story is, it can be a powerful tool because ultimately we want to build trust and connection. Without that, right, what do we have? So, recovery is, it's just deeply personal. So when clients see that we're not just practitioners, physicians, whatever role we have, humans care and understand and genuinely believe in their ability to change. So it fosters a sense of safety, right? Another core principle of trauma-informed care, right? And they go hand in hand. Safety is a foundation of growth. So I don't need to have a dramatic speech, reveal every detail. I think what I try to do is just, it's almost like reveal my authenticity, and it just, wow, does that make a difference in any conversation I have? It shows like I'm not just here to help them recover, like I'm here to help them believe in recovery itself. And wow, does that make a difference? So that's why I do it. I remember the experiences that we bring into the room. Uh, it makes a difference. So once again, whether personal or professional experiences you have, they're more than a story to someone out there. So, and they're tools. Don't forget that. And they really are. They inspire, they empower, they remind our clients that they're capable of writing their own chapter. They need to hear that. I needed to hear that. And because, they might look back, and when they look back, you know, you're going to see that recovery, right? It just wasn't walked alone. It was walked with someone who believed in them every step of the way, and it makes a difference. Next, I want to blend this all in, right? And I want to look at blending insights for, we'll say, the whole person recovery. So when we think of, and I'm just, a lot of these ideas are very similar, but I try to blend all these slides in because there's so much when it comes to MI that intersects, right? Because, recovery just isn't just about stopping substance use. It's about rebinding a life that feels it just feels worth living, right? And it's always a holistic approach. That means, right, it looks at the whole person. I want to look at their physical health. I want to look at their emotional uh, well-being, their relationships, their sense of purpose. It all goes together. Combining evidence-based practices like MI with personal insights and focusing on the client's broad, we'll say, issues and everything, it kind of creates a foundation for lasting recovery, because it's about helping clients heal in every area of their lives, and especially from reconnecting with their family to, we'll say, finding meaningful work, whatever it is. It all affects the other, right? In this approach, it reminds us to see the person, not just a problem, and to work alongside them as they rebuild their lives, and that it makes a difference. I've tried it a million times, and we'll say a million times that it helped them in some way or another. Next slide, I want to look at, I mentioned this a lot of different ways about ambivalence and how that affects the person. And it's like part of MI, right? It's, when I have someone that needs to navigate it, because, wherever they're at, their stage of change, they're going to have some kind of resistance normally, right? And I want them to recognize it. I want them to be able to look at these things. So when I look at this, like challenges like resistance, ambivalence, they're natural, right? They're part of the recovery process, and I don't. This is how I do it. I don't want to view them as roadblocks, and like, that perception I have, right? MI teaches me to be able to see that as like an opportunity, right? Because then I can get deeper engagement with them, and I can connect. And because, like, just say the client might say, I don't think I can change, right? I love it when they say that. I could work with them, right? And I go right in, right? It like invites me, and I explore what's holding them back, right? I go right to reflection, and reflective listening, just it helps me uncover, right? Because that statement, right? The statement they says, I don't think I could change, right? I hear fear in that, right? I could see the nonverbals. I could see it while they're talking. I could see the doubts. I could see, right? I could see the trauma has shaped their behaviors in that statement. So I use reflective listening, right? And for example, if the client hesitates to take the next step, here's what I'll say. I'll say, it sounds like you're worried about failing again. And that's making it hard to move forward. So that reflection, it just doesn't validate their feelings. It and there it is. It opens the door to a meaningful conversation. I go right in, right? And I find it that's somewhere that I get deeper engagement, right? I could find out what's going on, and I learn about their concerns and how to address them. Ambivalence too. It can be reframed. Once again, it's not a sign that the client is unwilling. I believe it's a sign that they're weighing their options, right? It's not a hard no. Door opens, I go right in. Right when that comment comes in, I just explore. I go right in. So our role is to guide them through that process without judgment. Okay, I evoke, right? So using evocation, okay, we can help our clients reconnect with the values and reasons they want to change. So challenges, they're part of the journey. Okay, they're not just for the client, but I believe they're for us all. Okay, they remind us to stay patient, curious, we'll say compassionate. So every time we navigate resistance or ambivalence successfully, it strengthens us, and it helps with the client's trust in the process, in their belief, in their ability to succeed. So it helps just so much. Um, I want to just recap this all, right? There was a lot. I talked about a lot. I talked about a lot of techniques. We went over a lot of stuff. So I want to go right in the key takeaways. And there's just so much. I hope you learned a lot. I mean, I did, right? I love going over this stuff, and I don't know where I'd be without MI. So I fear that uh, without MI, I wouldn't be able to just connect with so many different clients because it's such a tool. So there's just no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you, right? I want to start out with that. That's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite lines, right? And I want you all to think about that for a moment, okay? Because I talked a lot about lived experience. I talked about a lot of about stories, right? We all have a story, wherever you're from, whatever you do, right? So just remember that each person that we work with has, whatever field, whatever area, right? They have a story, and they're often buried. It's like buried beneath, right? We'll say layers of pain, stigma, right? There's that word stigma. I see a lot of that, and struggle. So MI offers us tools to help uncover their story. It helps us meet clients where they are. It helps guide them towards a future that they might not be able to see for themselves. So let's all reflect on our own journeys, through this presentation, right? And I hope you're all able to take a moment to piece together our path, right? And we started exploring, why MI matters. We looked at we looked at that map as as a path, and while we're going through the path, we found out that MI is it's more than a method. It's right to me, it's a philosophy, and it respects right, the autonomy of humanity and every individual we serve. It's about building trust, overcoming ambivalence, empowering clients to participate in their recovery actively, right? MI teaches us to stop, and I don't like this word, fixing, okay, and start partnering and recognizing the natural lasting change that comes from within. It comes from within the client. I can't say that, emphasize that enough. It doesn't come from us, it comes from them, right? So we moved into, I talked about the core principles, collaboration, evocation, autonomy, uh, like I'm building a house, right? And on that path, like without them, right? Imagine these principles, it's foundation. I talked about how, right, they're foundation of a bridge. I talked about a bridge between where the client is now, where they hope to be. Collaboration it lays the groundwork. It fosters trust, shared purpose. Evocation draws out their inner strengths, motivations. Autonomy ensures that they own the process. So these principles, they create a safe, supportive place for change to take root, right? Change is possible, right? And then I added the tools, right? It's almost like a toolbox. And if I had a toolbox and if it had some tools in there, it would have, right, OARS, orders. It had open-ended questions. It would have affirmations, reflective listening, and summarization. So these techniques, right? It's like my own little craftsman kit, right? And in that I got the oars, and without the oars, right? I might not be able to meet that client, meet that patient where they're at. And like, I can't build that house. I can't cross that bridge. Can't do anything without oars. Okay. It's essential. And I think it, helps the client listen. It helps us listen to them, right? Celebrates their strengths. It helps guide them as they navigate their path. And their skills, right? And their skills we can learn and habits to live by, and we foster genuine connection in every conversation. That's reciprocal, right? We feel that. I talked about innovation, and I think that brings like a new dimension uh, to our world, right? It's like, I mean, like we have so much innovation, and some of the things I can't even keep up with. There's just so many changes and right. And I think it complements. I know not everybody's a digital native, but it complements so many areas of healthcare as a whole, wherever you work, right? I mean, where would we be without technology? And so I showed you the apps for telehealth. I listed some, right? I don't endorse any, but they all work, right? And they all have some kind of efficacy. And I talked about peer recovery support. Right, I was a peer specialist. I supervised peer specialists. Right, I worked in there for a while, and right, I work with just in different roles. So it's vital, right? It helps us truly meet people where they're at. I talked about like there's culturally tailored interventions. We saw how MI it just evolves to meet the needs of today's diverse and dynamic clients. I mean, that's what I see. I see that so much. The case study, I talked a little bit about that. Technology, it's extended the reach of MI. It's like an extension. Um, it's amazing. It empowers clients. They stay engaged, even outside the traditional sessions. So these are just tools that they remind us the meeting clients where they are. It's just not a metaphor. Like it's a call to action. It truly is. So, you know, yeah, and then I touched on the power of personal experiences, and we talked a lot about that. And because I think it just complements, MI, and so many other things, right? Wherever you're at, whatever personal, professional experience you got, it just brings humanity in the room. So your experiences enrich your practice. Listen, share your story, or even just the understanding you gained from your journey. It breaks down barriers and it fosters trust. It's a reminder that evidence-based practices and personal connection, and listen, they're not opposing forces. Okay, for so long, I I've got told by many people, oh, they don't go hand. They do today, right? To me, they're complementary, right? I wrote a book, and the book about that, it just truly shows how, right, they complement each other, and I give real life tangible experiences of how they do complement each other. So together, they create something far more potent than they could alone. I hope you could feel that and see that in your practice, and hopefully you could apply that. I explored the importance of a holistic approach. I want to recognize that recovery isn't just about stopping a behavior. It's to me, it's about rebuilding life. We got to address all the areas: physical, emotional well-being, relationships, and purpose. It just gives the clients tools that they need if they want to sustain change. I mean, they got to believe it's possible, and then they want to be able to sustain it. How do they sustain it? addressing it holistically. Okay. Whether we face resistance or ambivalence, MI just teaches us to lean in, right? And see that these moments they're not barriers, they're opportunities, because we want a deeper understanding and we want growth. So I want to leave you with one thought. And like I says, I love lines. I memorize a lot of, we'll say, good quotes from a lot of good people that truly have made remarkable changes in my life. And here's another quote. Right, it's a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. Right, the work we do is just that. We light candles. Right, MI equips us to help clients see their own light, rekindle hope, and illuminate a path forward. So together, I hope you and I, through trust, innovation, evidence-based practices, and most of all, authentic connection, we're transforming recovery one conversation, one story, and one life at a time. Thank you again for being part of this journey. This, as you can see, MI is important to me. I hope it's important to you, and I hope it helps you in whatever role you play. Remember, your impact, is immeasurable, and your work changes lives every day. So thank you again. This is Dr. Joey Pagano, and thank you for this presentation. And, once again, we covered so much, we covered so much, and I hope that you could take this, wherever you're at, and make a difference in your life. Okay. And as you can see, we talk just so much, and I just want to see, open up. Does anybody have any questions?
Since nobody's chiming in live, you've gotten a few on the chat. I'm just going to read one, too. It's more of a comment. It
Okay.
sounds like you would support the peer support programs. New York State has a certification program to become a peer mentor. It is thriving in New York State. And that came from Reverend Robin Bobby Clark. And then you've received quite a few thank yous. Please send me the recording. So I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I really like the last quote too. I love that analogy. Thank you so much for your presentation. Many thank yous throughout the chat.
Well, thank you.